Alrighty guys, as here brings another Dragon Ball Legends ToP guide video. This is going to be for Season 35, right? So last time we saw each other was through the walkthrough video. We ended up completing Season 34 at rank 3,470, definitely securing that juicy 1000cc, which is always the goal for these videos, right? There hasn't been too much change for this season. I'm not gonna lie, there's not a bunch of variety in this board. It's very similar to the last board. Definitely, I would say just as difficult, maybe a little bit more difficult. I'm not too sure. You decide. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of the current season's board right now. We're gonna go ahead and get into it. The first thing I do want to tell you guys though is there will always be timestamps in the description down below. That way you guys can go ahead and get where you need to go. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is the pathing, right? So as per usual, the circled fights are your massive win streak bonuses. These only happen in the increments of 5, right? So on the 5th win streak, on the 10th win streak, on the 15th, the 20th, and the 25th at the very end. If you die during any point of this, you will lose that win streak bonus, right? If you land on a green tile, if you land on a yellow tile, you're going to ruin the win streak bonus too, right? Because you're missing out on a stage. If I land on a green tile, I'm only going to be doing 24 fights, not the 25. So you're going to be losing a lot of points. That's why I always would just advise just dying instead of actually going on a hill tile, or especially going on a yellow tile. I think yellow tile is the most massive no-no that you can do in this game mode right here, right? But other than that, like I said before, the circled fights right here, there can be some interchangeable fights on the path in between the circled fights, right? The circled fights are there because they are important. The path is not as important as the circled fights themselves, right? You will see me, and a lot of times during my walkthrough, I will depending on how I'm feeling, depending on how my units are doing in terms of HP, I will alternate the path as long as I can still get to the end goal of those circled fists, right? On the second half, though, I have two fights circled on the 20th win streak, right? The 5th one is a Sun Family fight with Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku. That's why I circled 2 of them, right? The one towards the right is definitely a much easier fight, but it's only at 4 fists. And what do I always tell you guys on these massive win streak stages, on these tiles, right? You want to go all out. You always want to go for the most difficult one. So personally, I do think we are going to go for that Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken stage. It's going to be annoying. We're going to probably get hit by a super attack, but that's just how it be. Alright, so that is our pathing right there. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions, comments, or concerns regarding this. Let's go ahead and move on to the next topic, which is going to be tips and tricks. So I don't really have too much for you guys this time around, unfortunately. All I can say is that our path does consist of some of those Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken fights, right? Especially like early on, like right after the first 5-fist stage fight, right, or the 5th win streak bonus. This is a relatively easy stage right here, right? And then immediately we go head to head with the Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, right? And this is always a fight that is just it's just so damn annoying, right? And typically I avoid these stages like the plague, but we're gonna go for it. We're actually gonna go ahead and go for it. If you really, because especially right here, right? Because when you're looking at this stage specifically, right? This is a stage that we kind of have to land on. It's a 5-fist stage. It's the 5th win streak bonus. Even if I go into this other 5-fist stage, look at it, Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, right? It's kind of hard to avoid them, even if I go straight above Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken. If I go over here to the 4th stage, Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, it becomes very difficult to avoid this stage. That's why we're going to go ahead and we're going to take it in stride. We're going to try to do our best in terms of dealing with this, mitigating the damage as best as we can. The high key recovery is still the key to beating Sun Family stages in general, right? Better yet, if you have Gohan for your regeneration team, he can make this infinitely easier, because the thing that makes this fight so hard is this taunt to Gohan, because he absorbs all the attacks on that initial turn, right? With Gohan, he can cancel that effect on hit, plus he has really high ki restore speed, right? So meaning, once Gohan hits him, that effect wears off, and you can target whoever you want to target, starting from the Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken to the Super Transforming Goten to the Super Attacking other Kaioken Goku, the blue one right there, right? That's the order that I usually would go about doing this fight right here. But that's with Gohan. If you don't have Gohan for your regeneration team, I truly believe the best counter to this team is just going to be a mirror match Sun Family, right? Sun Family is your answer to Sun Family. How about that, right? So regardless of that, here are the key restore speeds you need in order to attack before the specified unit. Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku is coming in at 2,794 once he transforms at the start of the second turn, in which he will super attack you. Transforming Goten, once he does transform at the start of the second turn, in which he will super attack you as well at 2,620. And then the Transforming Kaioken Goku, the blue one who will super attack you at the start of turn 3, has a key restore speed of 2,669. So what you guys want to do here is make sure all of your units are friendship ranked up all the way to 10. This is impactful for one main reason right here, right? So I have Android 21 right here. She's portrayed at friendship rank 10. These are her ToP stats. You can see right here her key restore speeds at 2,644. Right, this is because of the friendship rank 10, right? Because when we look at her regular stats, that is not the case. Still at friendship rank 10. But look at the decrease in stats all across the board, right? Specifically, key restore speed being at 2,519. So you get a buff, a significant buff to all of your stats when you have the friendship rank up. So you guys do want to have that. It caps out at 10. You don't need to go past 10. Just try your best to have all of your main units at that friendship rank 10, and the best way to farm this is through the Let's Fight stages. There is also a story mode stage 619, I believe, in terms of like chapter book and stuff like that. But that is a lot. That is a very tedious way to actually level up your friendship rank. Let me know if I missed any other difficult fights right here. I kind of glance over them, and it's like the same stuff over and over, like just regurgitated, right? They need a revamp to the boards and stuff like that, because I'm actually, it's sad to say, but I'm kind of getting bored of all just the Sun family stages and stuff like that, right? I want to head into a new meta for ToP. Alright, so now we're going to talk about the new characters. First off, we have this Mecha Frieza right here, right? So I'm going into this blind. We're going to check the ToP stats. We are going to be displaying the maximum stats right here. This is at friendship rank 1, of course, right? So take this with a grain of salt. Key restore speed at 2,308. That is pretty bad. I mean, obviously it can jump up to higher than 2,400 at friendship rank 10, but that is pretty rough. He just has the blue card right there. He has no ultimate or anything like that. Let's see the first passive. He has a buff against Super Saiyans, plus 20% damage inflicted if there is a target Super Saiyan. Okay, that's honestly a good sign. Started the battle 70% to damage inflicted, right? Minus 25% to damage received, minus 10% to damage received for 1 turn, and applies the buff effect, nullifies abnormal conditions twice. So he's kind of like a tanky unit, right? He is tanky in PvP as well, so this makes sense to me. At the start of the first turn, if there is attack Super Saiyan enemy remaining targets, 20% to own damage inflicted, and inflicts all enemies with attribute downgrade minus 50% to health restoration. I would have rather have seen like a different type of debuff right there, to be quite honest with you guys, right? I think a more impactful debuff would have just been more sustained damage taken right there instead of 2 health restoration. On Blast Arts attack, plus 10% to own blast damage, inflicted for 1 turn, and inflicts enemy with attribute downgrade plus 50% to blast damage received. Okay, so there it is. At the very least, there it is right there at the second part of that passive. So the second passive right here is at the start of the turn, 4 enemies or less remaining, you activate your special action, which is your green card, right? After you activate your special action, you get 20% to damage inflicted, cannot be canceled, and 10% to special move gauge. That I feel like that could have been bumped up a little bit higher as well. And then on Blast Arts hit, self, plus 5% to special move gauge, charge rate activates twice, cannot be canceled, and 10% to special move damage inflicted. I mean, he looks all right, but I don't think he's as good as Purple Chilled, because of synergy between Purple Chilled and the Purple LF Frieza, who are both Zenkai units who also have Zenkai stats and stuff like that, right? I think their synergy is better because they have high key restore speed, so you know your purples are going to attack first. Plus, this isn't necessarily a meta where you want like a million purples on your team, right? Especially considering how strong the yellows are and how many of these yellow units can actually that possess super attacks. So I don't see him getting too much playtime, especially on LOE, unfortunately. Not yet anyways, who knows in the future. Alright, so next we do have Goku Black, who is a support type right here, right? So once again, going in blind, ToP stats, maximum stats, 2,600 on the key restore speed. Dude, I feel like support units have ridiculous key restore speeds, right? Like Vados has a really ridiculously high key restore speed as well. Let's see. So 2,673 at friendship rank 1s, right? So that's going to go up to 2,800? 2,800, huh? So his first passive right here, on hit, if target is tagged Future, 15% to damage inflicted. No, I mean, Future isn't necessarily a massive threat in the meta right now for ToP. Start a battle, plus 70% to damage inflicted, cannot be cancelled, minus 25% to damage received, cannot be cancelled at the start of the second turn, activate special action, plus 25% to damage inflicted, cannot be cancelled. Lots of stuff that can't be cancelled right here. Plus 40% to key... 40%? Like a whole 40% to key recovery? Usually it just says plus 40 right here, right? Like, I'm not tripping when I'm seeing this. This is not, this, is that legit? Plus 40%? Dude, his key restore speed is absolutely insane, and he has support right here too, right? At the start of the first turn, multi-target, plus 10% to damage inflicted by allied tag Future, powerful opponent in range. That's a good amount of range too. It's literally 5 characters that he's buffing. He's buffing all but 1 character, and that's incredible positioning right there too. I think, especially with the way the tiles are laid out. So plus 30 to key recovery for allied tag Future or tag powerful opponent in range, and inflicts all enemies with attribute downgrade plus 15% to damage received for 2 turns. At the end of the second turn, multi-target, plus 10% to damage inflicted by allied tag Future or tag powerful opponent in range, cancels attribute downgrades and abnormal conditions for tag powerful opponent or a Future in range, and inflicts all enemies with attribute downgrade plus 15% to damage. I think this guy's very good. I think he has a phenomenal kit right here. I really hope I see some future teams rocking this man, right? I don't want to see him just slapped on some ragtag teams. I want to see some of you guys make some solid future teams right here too, bro. I think this is the start of where future can start being viable in ToP, especially because the LF Trunks is really good, the one that we reviewed last time, right? So I don't know, the future might be having some high hopes here. All right, so the last unit that we are going to be taking a look at is this transforming Gohan, who did just get a zenkai. Right, so he kind of has like a new improved kit, and I never really visited his kit at all, so this is a good time to refresh it. Let's go ahead and max out all his stuff. He's a fully zenkai boosted right here. This is pre-transformation, right? Pre-transformation at 2,525 key restore speed. That's honestly pretty solid, but he is at friendship rank 5, right? So after, let's see post-transformation. It doesn't really change, really. That's actually kind of odd to me that it doesn't change at all. 2,525 still. Okay. All right, so be it. He only has the blue card right here. Let's go ahead and see these ToP abilities. He has a buff against androids, which will come in handy once we do get into an android meta, maybe. Right, 30% to damage inflicted, 15% to damage inflicted at the start of battle, and minus 20% to damage received. At the end of the first turn, he does transform. Right, he gets 45% to blast. That's a lot. 45% to blast damage inflicted, and plus 50 to key recovery. Okay, so he's going to have some decent key recovery here, especially once you get him to friendship rank 10. And then at the start of the second turn, activate special action, multi-target, inflicts enemy with attribute downgrade plus 40% to blast damage received for 2 turns. Okay, and inflicts enemy with attribute downgrade minus 40 to key recovery for 2 turns, plus 5% to own special move gauge. That's actually pretty solid right here. This is basically where he uses his green card, so I'm assuming it's only for, it says multi-target, but I'm assuming that's only going to, it only lands on 1 target, right? Every time an ally is defeated, plus 20% to damage inflicted. I do not like that at all. That mostly works for the enemy, right? So he's going to be someone that you have to look out for as an enemy, but although the enemies can't even obtain zenkai units and stuff like that, right? Because you don't want your allies to die, period, right? And if an allied character Trunks is defeated to self, he gets 30% to damage inflicted and 10% to special move gauge. Once again, that I don't like that at all. I don't, yeah, I'm already not a big fan of this kit just because of these 2 passives. Like they essentially are useless, it feels like, right? Because you never want to have a situation when one of your allies is defeated, and especially, I mean, this kind of like piggybacks off of that, right? You want an allied character Trunks to be defeated to have this guy at peak. So realistically, you never want to see this guy at peak, which is kind of a downside. Alright, so now we're going to move into our best teams, and I'm going to be real honest with you guys, so I'm going to keep this brief and short with you guys, except for regeneration, because I do want to talk about regeneration a little bit, but just being transparent, I see almost 0 change to the current meta, so the best teams kind of just remain the same, right, over and over, but with little variation, right? There is some variation right here, but the first team we are going to be talking about is regeneration. Right, so regeneration, basically the old reliable right? Probably one of the most reliable teams for this game mode. And I actually have two teams that I want to show you guys right here, right? So firstly, I honestly, when I form these lists, I like to look at current leaderboard and I like to look at previous leaderboard as well. So looking at the past season champion, right? I have, look at who was number 1. The legend himself, Bob Saget, with a regeneration team. So there's triple heals here, right? You have to keep, there's triple, we're going to go ahead and dissect this team a little bit, right? There's triple heals here. You do have Super Baby 2, right? Fat Boo, and that yellow Piccolo, who I believe is still in Z tier right here, right? So that yellow Piccolo, he's a little bit of a sleeper unit. I've used him for a couple seasons myself. I know he's not too widely used just because his damage output is very much so on the weaker side of things, right? But he has damage cut and he restores health by 2% for 5 tiles, right? He has a possibility of healing up 5 tiles, restores health by 2% at the end of the turn, and that activates 3 times. So 3 out of the 4 turns is definitely not that bad at all. It's actually really solid right here, right? And he also possesses the ability to counter Sun Family because of him having Gohan right there, right? Gohan is just, I don't know, there's too much good to be said about Gohan right here. He's definitely a Z tier unit in my opinion when it comes to ToP. But Bob Saget also possesses having these slower green units right here, right? So you see Fat Boo, and my Fat Boo, he's at, I'm pretty sure he's at Friendship Rank 10 right here. Let me go ahead and actually double check that. Yeah, Friendship Rank 10, sitting at 2,523 key restore speed by, it's not low, right? It's not like super low or anything like that, but it's definitely not super high, right? But he also has this Zenkai Piccolo, who I have at Friendship Rank 5. He actually does have really low key restore speed, but that can be used to your benefit, right? If your greens are attacking at the end, they can definitely like just dogpile any blues at the end of a turn, so that can be beneficial. And of course, I always mention how I like the 21 units in general, especially when you pair it up with the Zenkai version of this one right here, just because of all of the immense support that you are just constantly giving right here, right? And also too, she restores the health by 2% for allied attack Transforming Warrior. Does Super Baby 2 fit under that tag right here? Let me actually go ahead and double check that. Yeah, Transforming Warrior. So Super Baby 2's giving healing to the left and to the right of him, while also healing himself, plus the heals from the Zenkai 21. Now, the next generation team that I will be talking about is actually a team that I want to steal. Right, this possibly is the team that we're going to be using right here. It is from the homie Ren Klaus. I did talk about it a little bit in previous ToP videos, right? He is a streamer over on Twitch, so definitely show him some love over on that platform. But let's take a look at this team, right? So he has 2 healers right here, right? Super Baby 2, Fat Boo, right? And he has 2 super attack farmers, kind of, right? So Legends Limited Piccolo definitely farms that super attack on turn 3. Like, you can always count on that. But this guy, the fused with Kami Piccolo, the blue Zenkai Piccolo right here, he does get 20% to special move gauge at the start of battle. So that happens every single battle, right? So you do see him amassing his blue cards at a faster rate than other units. Not necessarily as fast as someone like Legends Limited Piccolo or even someone like Bootanks, who I am a big fan of. Although he does kind of die fairly easily, he's still a reliable damage dealer. Plus his key restore speed is phenomenal, right? I have him at Friendship Rank 10 right here. He is sitting at 2,664. That, I would say that's way above average, right? I think that's actually really solid, and I have been working on his Zenkai levels, right? I think the last time you guys saw me, I'm pretty sure he was at Zenkai 2 or 3. He is now sitting at Zenkai level 4. You also have support from the Super Baby 2 itself, right? We already talked about him a little bit. And the Legends Road Piccolo. So Legends Road Piccolo used to be on my OG team right here. He does buff all of the tag regeneration, right? Plus 20% to damage inflicted for 1 turn at the start of every turn right here. And he has really good key restore speed here too. Look at that, 2,625. So you have support from him. You have support from this Kid Buu down here as well. And look at all these debuffs right here. Like I said before, I think debuffs are very important in this game mode. I think they're very meta, but he does support those 3 tiles right there, giving him key recovery as well, and he heals himself, right? He heals himself, and after he receives an attack, he applies a debuff to that enemy. And then, of course, you do see Ren using 2 greens on the bench. He does have the Zenkai Piccolo, who is, like I said before, he is on the lower end of key restore speed. You see mine right here sitting at 2,337, and he also has Gohan, who I think he also has lower key restore speed, right? Let me go ahead and double check that. Yeah, 2,486. Once again, not too low. I only have him friendship rank 2, right? So not necessarily too low, but not necessarily like amazingly high or anything. But like I said before with Bob Saget's team, for slower turns with the greens, right? If you know that you can time your attack order with your blues being with a blue enemy being at the end, you can definitely jump them with your greens. Regardless, Ren came in at rank 43 last season, and I wanted to see how well it can perform this season since they are very similar. I will be getting advice from Ren this season since he is more experienced with the team, so stay tuned for the walkthrough. So this is where things are going to get very, very simple, right? So Sun Family. Best counter to themselves, basically. This team almost always hits rank 1. Obviously, last season was one of those exceptions, and it is so popular, which is the reason why we see it used against us so often. I have actually been getting a ton of requests to use this team, so I actually probably will do a run with them next season. You guys can look forward to that. Of course, the units that I always mention right here that you possibly well, in order to counter the best Sun Family team on the board right now, is you have to use this exact same units, right? You have to use that Goten, you have to use that Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, you have to use the Taunt Gohan, and you have to use the Zenkai Kaioken as well. You always do want a healer on this team, right? Specifically, this user right here is using that EX Namek Goku. That green one counts as the healer for this team. All right, so next we have androids. I think the droids have been getting a little bit slept on, especially since 17 and 18 did drop over to S tier, right? Oh my god, wait, hold on. Dude, Android 17 and 18 dropped to S tier, and so did this Perfect Cell? Are you kidding me? He just came out. He's still new. Okay, I wasn't aware of that. That's actually kind of crippling a little bit right there. It's a little bit disappointing. I'm not going to lie to you guys. But either way, this user right here is not using him in the first place, so that's okay. Also, this person isn't using the tag droids at all either. Right, running all the 21 units aside from the purple, there is a lot of synergy to be found here. This is a classic Android setup though, right? That does involve a lot of 16 stuff, right? Zenkai 16 doing stuff. If you guys are thinking about running this Android 16, you guys do need him at a Zenkai level 7. I do feel like, because he's your tank. You want him to be at the max stats possible. If you guys don't have him Zenkai'd, dude, if you don't have him Zenkai'd, he's gonna get melted, right? I've even seen people having him at Zenkai 1 through 3, having him get melted. I think you do need this guy at his highest potential right here, right? But he does have a cover change against blast cards that is non-restrictive, meaning that it doesn't matter what HP you are, you're always going to be able to access that cover change once per fight, right? And so what happens here is, so the way that this guy has it set up is that 16 is always geared to cover change for the red 18, right? Only for the red 18, right? I know it says there's 2 slots that can be activated right here, but the way that the 16 is lined up, like if I put the 16 on the board, for example, exactly where he has it, I click on the 16, he's only going to be buffing that red, or I mean only protecting that red 21 right there, right? And so he protects the red 18 so she can safely get her heals off, right? She heals every turn. She's very good. She's a very good healer. You'll often see her on Sun Family teams as well. Super 13 can farm blues on turn 3, and the green 21 possesses a solar flare on turn 2, which does allow for damage mitigation, right? Because it stops the enemy from attacking. So while red 18 heals 16 and 13 plus herself, Zenkai 21 heals herself plus the green 21, right? So you technically do have 2 healers right here, and this guy has this blue 18 who is solid, right? Don't get me wrong, she is solid. She is in Z tier and stuff like that. She does get 40% to her special move gauge, so she is able to farm special moves relatively easy. I do feel like Gamma 2 might be the best option in terms of a secondary blue unit right here, right? Because he's also an extra healer, right? Having healers is just so crucial, and you know, it is possible to have too many of them, I suppose, but I think it's just very safe. All right, so next we have Sagas from the movies, also possessing 2 healers, which is the current trend, like I've said time and time before, right? So you have the healer Yellow Goku, right, and the Gamma 2. Gamma 2 we just talked about from the androids right there. Gamma 2 is really, really solid. That Yellow Goku can be found on Sun Family teams quite often as well. He actually has a very wide range of his heals right here, right? So he has it right here. He buffs 4 blocks, right, it does rely on him getting hit, right? After receiving an attack, he restores health of allies in range by 3%. That includes himself, so that's a 6% heal right there, right? But it's okay, even though it's not so many heals, you still are going to be able to get the heals from Gamma 2 as well. This setup specifically has double debuffs in the form of red Turles and yellow Tapion, allowing you to hit that much harder. Tapion is actually, I truly feel like Tapion is a standout unit. I didn't really look into him too much here, especially since he has lower key restore speed. We already went over this unit before when he initially came out and stuff like that, but the debuffs, man, the debuffs are so good. He inflicts all enemies with 20% to damage received for 1 turn at the start of each turn, and he technically is also a pseudo healer in a way, right? So he, at the end of the turn, allies in range, he restores their health by 1%. That's every single turn, right? And it's only his block and the block directly behind him, but something is better than nothing, especially like he does a lot of other stuff as well. I think he's pretty underrated. And since I don't actually possess this red Turles, we're actually going to go ahead and do a quick brief over his kit as well, why he's actually crucial to this team here too, right? So the Turles he imposes extra debuffs, right? He puts extra debuffs. He also has a buff against Tag Saiyan, right? So at the start of the turn, he gives 50% to own damage inflicted, minus 20% to own damage received, right? And inflicts all enemies with attribute downgrade plus 15% to damage received for 1 turn, plus a little bonus if there is a Tag Saiyan on the enemy team, you inflict all enemies with another minus 10% to damage inflicted, right? So like you're getting like the best of both worlds right here, right? You're doing more damage and they're doing less damage to you. I'm pretty sure I'm reading that right, hopefully, right? So I think he also heals himself at the start of their turn by 10%. Yeah, this guy's actually pretty nuts. Regarding the rest of the team right here, though, of course you do have the purple Bojack, and honestly, I always do see the red Bojack here, but the Great Saiyaman 1 and 2 is interesting, right, because the Great Saiyaman 1 and 2 do possess a very high key restore speed, higher than the red Bojack, so I guess that's why he prioritized the Great Saiyaman 1 and 2 right there, right? And then that blue Broly is also really solid for this game mode as well, right? Because he activates his green card on turn 2, and he's able to essentially wipe all of the buffs from whoever you land that green card on. So lastly, we have LOE, who I do believe may be struggling a bit, right? Since your 2 highest key restore speed units do include are in the purple category, right? Unsurprisingly, at this point, this team may be unusable without Revival Frieza. And you may even want to consider bringing in Naval as a bench, right? You might want to put this guy on the bench specifically just to have double heals right here, right? Because he does buff the Frieza Saga or Tag Frieza Force. I think he's actually very solid, and I have been recommending him to a lot of people that are struggling a little bit with the LOE tag that are, well, pretty much just LOE mains, especially in ToP and stuff like that, right? Still, they seem to remain relevant. Let me know if you think LOE should or should not be here on this list, right? Because a part of me does feel like they're falling off, but this user specifically isn't using Naval, right? He's not using Naval. He is using Revival Frieza. He's needed. Revival Frieza is needed. I think we can establish that. But he's not using the Golden Angel Frieza nor the LF Full Power Frieza, the yellow one, right? He's just using the Zenkai version of it, and he remains within the top 200, which does feel like an impressive enough feat to me to go ahead and feature this team on the list. Let me know if you guys are an LOE main and you guys are struggling, if you guys think you're going to be struggling with this season, especially just because, like I said before, having such strong purples right here is kind of undermined by the fact that your biggest threats are Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken Goku, who is yellow, and then also the Goten, the transforming Super Saiyan Goten, who is also yellow, right? Because for the most part, you're running both Chilled and the purple Frieza at the same time, right? Which is why you do see this user having 2 reds on the bench, which does make sense, right? Because you do want to have some sort of cover for your purples. Personally, though, my favorite red for LOE is still this guy right here, right? This final form DBS Broly Frieza, because he is able to activate his green card and onto the enemy, and he basically inflicts them with Cat Attack for 1 turn. That's a little bit of bias. I like the fact that because this Frieza has it, and so does the purple LF Frieza, right? So you can go ahead and stun 2 enemies right at the start of the first turn, which gives you a hefty like advantage, especially if you're not going against those Sun family teams. All right, so that being said, that's gonna go ahead and wrap it up for today's video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. Once again, if you guys do have any questions, comments, or concerns regarding ToP, my DMs on Discord are open, right? I think it's definitely easier for you guys to contact me through Discord rather than somewhere like Twitter, because I am kind of a little bit standoffish from social media, right? But if you drop them in the comments down below, there's other people within the community that have the same goal as you, which is to go ahead and secure that 1000 CC, right? So we all help each other out, right? We are the community right here. I'm gonna be real honest with you guys. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm starting to be a little bit standoffish from ToP as a whole, right? I do these guides for you guys, right? Because you guys, I would say I'm pretty consistent with them and stuff like that. But I do feel like something has to change, man. I really do feel like they need to like rework it a little bit or something like that, and it may be difficult to get the hang of it again, but right now it's starting to feel a little bit bland to me. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.